The battle lines have been drawn for a referendum on Australia's energy future at the next election, with the coalition naming 7 proposed sites for nuclear reactors. While there has been some local and business support for the plan, there has also been a significant backlash from the premiers and many residents of the 5 states chosen to host the reactors.
Experts say key questions remain unanswered, including how much it will cost, where nuclear waste would be stored, and if the promised timeframe is achievable. We'll soon speak with Liberal MP Rowan Ramsey, whose electorate takes in Port Augusta, one of the areas chosen to host a proposed reactor. But first, let's go to our political reporter, Nicole Hegarty in Canberra. Good morning, Nicole. What details do we have about this big proposal?
Morning, Bridget. Well, we now know the answer to the question of where, but we still have no answers on several of those other questions you've just highlighted. In terms of those 7 locations, there's 2 in both Queensland and New South Wales, 1 in Victoria, 1 in WA and 1 in South Australia as well. All of them, bar 2, are in coalition seats. One of them is in the Labor-held seat, which encompasses Liddell, and the other one is Mount Piper, which is in Andrew Gee's seat, who we heard from on the program a short time ago. In terms of this policy going forward, even if the coalition is elected at the next election, it's still not going to be smooth sailing, with significant questions over all of the other details here and what was announced yesterday as well. And some Liberal opposition leaders in the states that have been identified as potential hosts also vowing not to overturn state bans on nuclear. So significant issues still here. In terms of the reaction to that and the criticism at the lack of some of these details, the opposition leader Peter Dutton was speaking on this program a short time ago. Here's what he had to say.
We want the information out there in bite-sized bits, if you like, so that people can consume exactly what it is that we're proposing and understand what it's not proposing. We're only talking about coal-fired power stations that are at end of life. That's because there's an existing transmission network, so the poles and wires are already there, so we don't need Labor's new 28,000 kilometres of poles and wires through national parks and pristine farming land, etc. And it provides the opportunity to talk about that aspect of our proposal, and we'll release the next stage in due course.
The government has been highly critical of the handling of this announcement, saying that there is no detail and questioning whether it can even be called a policy as well. Penny Wong was asked on this program a short time ago about that. Here's what she had to say.
Risky and expensive gamble that won't work. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, this is decades of subsidy from Australians on, infrastructure and technology we don't have. In order to deliver higher electricity prices. We've seen what happens when the coalition, does this. They are so allergic to renewables.
Many experts have cast significant doubt over the timeframe put forward in yesterday's announcement, the opposition saying that they would be able to bring online the first 2 of these reactors between 2035 and 2037. There's also uncertainty and a lack of uniformity within the coalition itself over how exactly they would win the support of communities, and in fact if they would still proceed with these reactors regardless of whether there was community support there or not. Bridget.
Thanks a lot, Nicole.
A man is expected to be charged today after a woman was shot dead in Mackay in Queensland's north. Antonia O'Flaherty is in Brisbane for us. Antonia, good morning. How did this all unfold?
Good morning to you, Michael. Well, police say a 34-year-old woman was driving her car into Robb Place in South Mackay just before 4:30 yesterday afternoon. It's then that police allege a 31-year-old man approached the car and shot the woman. She did not survive her injuries. There were 2 children in the car at the time and they ran to nearby houses for help. Police then believe that a 66-year-old man came to check on the woman, and it's then that they allege the 31-year-old man shot him, and he sustained serious injuries and was later taken to hospital when paramedics arrived. Police believe that after that second alleged shooting, the man fled the scene, and police arrived just shortly afterwards and began patrolling for him. They established an emergency declaration just after 5 p.m. and were searching for the man for around 3 hours before they found him near a nearby fast food restaurant just before 8 p.m. Police spoke at the scene about how traumatic the incident was. Here's what they had to say.
The children were young teenagers, I believe, at this stage, and it's an absolutely shocking thing to have experienced. They obviously were very fearful, and they've gone and sought help, and that help was provided, and unfortunately that male that's provided the help has also been injured, so it's an absolutely tragic situation.
The man was in custody overnight, and that emergency declaration was in place until around 11 o'clock. And Michael, we're set to hear more details about those expected charges later today.
Antonia, thank you.
Well, a report from Consumer Group Choice has found shopping at Aldi is 25% cheaper than shopping at Coles or Woolworths. Coles says it's unclear whether like-for-like products are being compared. The Green Senator Nick McKim told News Breakfast the report tells shoppers what they already know, that Aldi is cheaper.
The simple fact is that Aldi doesn't have enough market share to drag down the prices of Coles and Woolworths, and in large parts of Australia the only effective choice that people have is between Coles and Woolworths, which this report shows is really no choice at all.
Pathology testing will be carried out today to determine whether bones found on Sydney's northern beaches are human. Police were called to a construction site on South Creek Road at Cromer yesterday morning after a number of bones were excavated. The bones have been taken for testing and a police investigation is now underway.
At least 550 pilgrims have died during this year's Hajj as temperatures soared to over 50 degrees in Saudi Arabia. About 1.8 million people took part in the pilgrimage to Mecca this year, 1.6 million of them from abroad, according to Saudi authorities.
2 climate protesters have been arrested by UK police after spraying Stone Henge with orange paint. The Just Stop Oil activists want the government to sign up to a treaty phasing out fossil fuels by 2030. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says it is a disgraceful act of vandalism. Thousands are preparing to gather at that site tomorrow for the summer solstice.